Hey, what's up? It's Eric with the PPV podcast. This week's episode features a detective that works in the Child Crimes Unit, Release the Files, who regularly goes undercover to catch the scumbags of the earth. He's not able to be on camera at all, so for those of you that watch the live interview, it's going to be just me having that conversation with him just off the screen. So check it out, let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome back to the PPV podcast. We are live at an undisclosed location today. We have a law enforcement officer on the show today. So, due to the nature of what he currently does, we're going to have some confidentiality. You'll find out why here in a second after we start with this interview. So, I'll let him introduce himself and I'll pose the first question to him now so we can get started. Are you able to tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got into it, and how long you've been doing it?
Yeah, so I've been in the police department for almost 20 years. So I've been there for quite a bit, did patrol for probably like 15, 16 years, and then transitioned into detectives type stuff. And then when you're in patrol at any police department, as you're trying to find your niche, you are able to go do shadows with different units,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they'll use you to do different type of things to see if you're good at whether it's buying drugs or if you're picking up prostitutes, things like that.
Yeah. Cool. So, what is your current? Do you call it assignment?
Yeah, so what I do right now is it's crimes against children,
Okay.
anything that has to do with physical and sexual abuse of children.
Wow. And how long have you been doing that?
It's probably going to be 5 years, 4 years
Oh my
definitely.
gosh, that's crazy. I don't know how you do it. So, hopefully, part of the show today is figuring out how you get through that and maneuver those obstacles that I'm sure you have, as I would imagine. Are you able to share some of the tough things that you do or have done over the past couple years doing this or throughout the job, and basically share maybe how you remain mentally healthy and all that stuff?
There's always cases where you unfortunately see kids in really bad environmental situations at home, and then you'll experience a lot of them that have gotten physically abused and injured, and then also the sexual side. A lot of them get sexually assaulted, molested by sometimes their own family and
Mm.
people close to them. So, and the way I've dealt with that is going to, obviously, church is important for me, my family. Those two things go hand in hand, and that's helped me a lot get through hard times and when felt stressed or whatever. Also, I do martial arts, jujitsu, judo. That's
Awesome.
huge as well because you let go of stress, all that stress that's built up in you. You're able to release that when you go to practice and either get beat up or you're
Totally.
beating up someone. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's got to take a village to support, like I said, your kind of spiritual, your physical, your mental health to get you through what you go through on a daily basis. I'm sure, right? I mean, what's your schedule kind of like, if you don't mind sharing that, or what's your daily
Yeah.
day look like?
So all my kids, they're in sports, so that's really helpful to me because it forces me having to get up and go run with them,
Mm,
or if they're trying to make weight for either judo, jujitsu, or wrestling matches. Then I also have to do that. So I'll wake up early, probably 4 or 5 in the morning. Uh, Either go run or go to the gym, and then get back home, get ready for work, head to work, and then at home and hang out with the family, or if they have their matches, their duels and stuff like that, go to those, and then after that, maybe go back to work. It depends on, if someone picks up one of my guys, I have to go to the office and arrest him or interview him. So,
are you kind of always on call? Is that the way it
yeah,
works?
well, yes. So there's days specifically that we're on call, and so we have to like the job comes first when that happens.
Sure.
But then there's days where I'm not on call, but we do so many investigations. Sometimes we have like, a warrant on someone or something, if he gets picked up, they're gonna call me and they're gonna be like, "Hey, we got your guy," and so I'll have to go to work and deal with that. And so that's really helpful that when you have a spouse that understands that, right?
Yeah,
Some spouses might get upset, but
totally.
yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah, definitely. Were you and your wife already married when you started as a police officer?
So when I first met my wife, I was not a cop. I was actually like a banker making $10 an hour, and she was pregnant, and so I was scratching my head and trying to figure out what I'm going to do because I knew that was not going to cut it.
Yeah,
So, and long behold, I was like, my brother-in-law, who's a cop over at Scottsdale, he was like, "Hey, you should just try to apply and see what happens." And I'm a true believer. Like if you're really want something and if everything just opens up for you, then it's kind of it's meant to be. So
I
that's
like
what kind
that.
of happened, and everything opened up, and so that's I'm here now. Going to be 18 years and a half. So it's been pretty good to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I've felt that way too, about just having a good, strong partner by your side from the beginning,
Hmm.
watching you ultimately change as we all do in these professions, um, and then being there to kind of be your rock and still support you and understand the things that you're going through on a deeper level. There's a lot to be said for that. So that kind of leads me into my next question. As first responders, we're kind of expected to be heroes while we're in uniform out on the street, carrying out our daily duties that we sign up to do. How do you make it a priority when you come home to be a hero out of uniform for your family?
I call it the switch, and it's kind of like a if you imagine a light switch.
Yep.
You need to turn it off when you get home, right? And then you're a dad or a
Mm-hmm.
husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
So learning to do that, which is hard in the beginning because when you're young and you're chasing bad guys, you have that adrenaline still running in you. When you get home, you're kind of just thinking about work,
Yeah.
things like that. But as you get older, you figure out it's what's most important is your wife and your kids, and that's what's going to get you through life later on. And so knowing that, and then just being able to switch that off and focus, even just giving time to your kids, that's huge. Playing with my kids action figures, for like 15, 20 minutes before I go to work, or even at nighttime if he was waiting for me. That to him, he'll remember,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'll affect him in a positive way
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah. It's about the experiences, not the presents or gifts that you give them is kind of
Right.
the point of my life. My kids are young.
Yes.
I have a 9-year old, a 7-year old, and a 3-year old.
Yep.
And I got hired on at 23. So my kids were really young. My wife was pregnant while I was in the academy. My oldest daughter was then a year and a half. And I just felt like I was always like, "Oh, I gotta get through work. I gotta get through
Hmm.
work. I gotta make this much overtime. I gotta do this. I gotta support the family." Feels like I blinked, and now I have kids the ages they are, and it's like I wish I would have gone back and thought of some of the times that I had with them to do those little things differently. Giving an extra second to play with them or get off the phone when I get home. Like I think that's something that I'm still learning, and as they get older and as the stress levels increase for me as I go on in my department, I think it's something that I don't know if you feel the same, but it feels like it's just evolving differently as I get
Yes.
older.
Yep. Yeah,
So
it
in a way, it
is.
gets easier. In a way, it gets tougher. But I'm still trying to find my switch.
Yes.
How did you find that switch? Early on, I did not have
Uh-huh.
it. I could not turn it off.
Uh-huh.
It was exactly like you said.
Yes.
How did you get to a place where you could find that and you felt comfortable getting home, turning off that switch?
That's a great question. I think it has to do with surrounding yourself with positive people. Uh, and I'm not. There's tons of people at work that are great people, but sometimes when they're not working, they do things that make them happy, right? And it could be drinking, it could be video games, going out to the strip, whatever. But I just found myself surrounded by people that had the same goals like jujitsu or were in the church pretty strong, and so surrounding myself with those people helped me understand what's going to help me have that switch in my life. And when to turn it on, when to turn it off. Because there are times when you could be a dad and a husband, and you might have to be protective. You need to also learn how to switch that on when you're with your family
Yeah,
too.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit. My dad was a police officer in the Southern California area just outside LA, us growing up. I remember just like crazy wild stories. I don't know if he ever had a switch. I don't know if he still does today. I mean, he's retired now, but something you said about surrounding yourself with important people reminds me of something two of the most important women in my life growing up, my mom and my grandma, would tell me all the time. They would say, "Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are."
Hmm.
And that to me is exactly what you said. I think if you surround yourself with the right people, it's going to put you in a right place.
Hmm.
Whereas you surround yourself with the wrong people, you could end up in the wrong place or down a path that maybe you've seen before. And now it's kind of anchoring you in that direction because you're surrounding yourself with that circle. So I love that you brought that up. That's something so simple, but it's something that I think a lot of us lose consciousness of when we're trying to maybe fit into a certain circle or gain popularity or work our way up through that
Right.
social circle,
Right.
you know?
Especially when you're young.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just try to find where you fit, and sometimes you
Exactly.
lose focus.
Yeah. Um, so again, I mentioned my dad was a police officer. He, till this day, could call me every day and have advice for me. A lot of it, I think, came from the job and the generation that he came up in policing and the people that probably brought him up. But I'm sure you experienced some tough times as a law enforcement officer and your current assignment. What is the best piece of advice that you've either heard or been told that has helped you get through some of the challenging times in your career or personal life?
um, let's see. I think not being proud, be humble, learn to uh, take criticism and go to don't be afraid to go to those people that are in your life that you can go to and ask for advice. I think a lot of times we forget to to reach out, and because if we get quiet and we kind of just seclude ourselves, we what ends up happening is now you get depression, you get temptations, all this other stuff.
Totally.
So it's better to be humble and just talk to someone, talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I think that's important. And yeah, so.
That is a great piece of advice. That's literally exactly why I started doing
Hmm.
this podcast was I've seen that many times too. I think as a kid growing up, all my dad's friends, all of my uncles, I called them,
Hmm.
were officers with my dad or people that, grew up around us were all in law enforcement. And you see the change in these people as you get older, or you see the patterns that they develop and the things that they go through. But I was talking to my dad, he was letting me know that he listened to this, something that stuck out to me. And my dad is a very rough and rugged person. Something that stuck out to me that he told me was, I think about how many guys, if they would have just talked to someone,
Hmm.
how different their life would have been. And to me, that's a little heartbreaking. Like,
Hmm.
how easy is it to talk to someone? Yet
Hmm.
sometimes we feel like we have nobody to talk to.
Hmm.
That's really the whole reason why I wanted to do this, to just put myself in a vulnerable place. And like I would love anybody to come talk to me about things that they go through. That doesn't have to be a show thing, but that's the whole purpose of this, to build community around what we do because it is tough. So that is great advice. I think that's a good place to kind of close this thing off, unless you have anything else.
Just one more thing. So I had a friend that was pretty close to me. He passed away, and he at that time there was no cell phones, and it was back in the day. So, but he would write to me. He was an older guy, and he was
Hmm.
super cool, super nice to my family, and he was like, "Hey, anytime, just remember who you really are." And every letter he would write, even so, I left. To Arizona and I left to Texas. I lived in Texas for a couple years. And so I would reach out to people like that. And he always write to me. He'd be like, "Oh, give me great advice." And he always end with, "Hey, remember who you really are." Every time, remember who you really are. And I always think about that. Just remember who you really are, which, who are you really?
Yeah.
Who are you? Who do you want to be?
Right.
Who can you be? the potential's always there.
What do you
So,
look for in that when you look at that question posed to yourself?
um, I think about the potential that I can have being um, an example to my kids, to be a positive influence in our society, whether it's just like doing my job to the best of my abilities or going to jujitsu, judo, teaching little kids, things like that.
Yeah. Man, I love that answer. I talk about being a light on this thing too, and I think that comes from my faith side of things, but just being a light in the world and how we're in such a good place to be a light for others based on the things that we do. Um, but man, it's so cool to hear an officer nonetheless with 20 years on. It is not an easy career to do. I mean, that's especially what you do right now. I know in my heart that's something that I don't think I could handle myself. Especially, I mean, I have two girls and a boy. I do not think that I could handle that myself. So I thank God that there's people like you that are willing and able and courageous enough to do these things to keep us safe at night and also make this world a better place. So thank you so much
Thank you.
for agreeing to come on here and kind of
Yep,
share a little bit about
absolutely.
yourself and your story and some of your perspective. Thank you so much. I can't say that enough.
Yep,
So,
thanks for having me.
absolutely. Thank you guys for watching again. The support's been amazing. So, reach out if you have any questions. If you have someone or yourself that wants to come on, please feel free to reach out. Thank you guys. Have a great day. That's it. Dude, that was awesome.